Okay, so let's talk about this amazing Oxbridge resource that you guys are working on, because there's obviously the Oxbridge group chat, and there's been a lot of discussion on there this week and a lot of anxiety about applying to Oxbridge. So you guys have done an amazing job by coming up with like an Oxbridge resource, because obviously the WhatsApp group, as good as it is to connect people, it's not really the best platform to be able to give the level of advice that you guys are wanting to give, is it?
Yeah. Especially if you want to write a long paragraph, you can't really do that on WhatsApp, and people might miss it. Not everybody can access it at the same time.
And then new people join as well, and they miss stuff, and you end up repeating. So what have you actually done? Can you describe what you've created?
Yeah, sure. So the grand reveal. So we have created an Oxbridge resource for you guys. And I mean, as we both mentioned, we were incredibly kind of daunted by the whole process. I mean, Oxbridge is often referred as this place where you have to work incredibly hard for the past 18 years of your life. You have to have done every single thing correctly, and we kind of just wanted to demystify the whole process and just reassure you guys that if you have got this good right supporting grades, if you just go through it step by step, having just reflected upon your experiences, and if you actually know what they're looking for, then you can really, it's definitely within your capabilities. So we've kind of decided to put our experiences together and advice we've received from the medical students before us, and we hope it helps for sure.
Yeah, so it is a mix of some advice and our experience, because it's not only saying what you should do, but giving evidence of what we did, which is not necessarily, it's not telling you that if you do that you will get in, but it just gives you a bit of a more realistic insight as to what steps you could take on in order to achieve a place, like obtain a place from Oxford or Cambridge. And even then, like, to prepare yourself with some advice that you might not find that easily online, because it's something that we got after going through the experience, or because of medical students that we talk to, that you can't just get anywhere online.
Sounds so amazing. It's like a survival guide to applying to Oxbridge.
I think we've also received quite a few questions from you guys as well regarding the process, and we've tried to answer them as best as possible in this, because we ourselves really struggled to find kind of that resource that would guide us through the process. We kind of had to, I know for myself, and I'm sure Laura was probably quite similar, but we had to kind of go speak to various different people, try doing various things, and we were kind of wasting our time obviously talking to some medical students was an amazing experience, and we learned a lot, but some of the things we did just was a waste of time. So we really hope that by preparing this resource, we kind of make sure that we put your focus in the right direction and help you to do the right things to get into Oxford,
And at the same time, we recognize that you probably won't have the same chances that we had, the same opportunities of going to the medical conferences and attending the school ambassador meetings. Like, at the moment, how things are, we realize that that's something that you would probably miss out on.
I'm sure that it's going to be really, really helpful to anyone who's applying to Oxbridge. And you're absolutely right. It's not, I mean, there's so many opportunities that Medic Mentor have to offer. And some students are only just coming to Medic Mentor now, and maybe they haven't had an opportunity to, come along to the the leadership days, or even sign up to summer school and things like that. So this is going to be absolutely invaluable, I think, to those students who haven't had a chance, really, an opportunity to get involved as well. And also, it's all in one place. That's, how amazing is that? I mean, so time efficient, rather than having to go to multiple sources. You've literally coordinated everything and put it in one place, which is really, really helpful as well.
Definitely.
So what is it going to look like?
So we're planning to do it in a series of blog posts. So you may have seen the blogs definitely up and running now. There's UCAT resources and ethical debate. I mean, so many great things, and I think we're honoured to be part of that group of people. So we hope our Oxbridge resource is also going to be there. We're going to release it bit by bit. So we've nearly finished it, actually, and we're going to just release section by section, but also the blog kind of comment feature is a great way in which you can ask questions to us. So definitely make the most of it. And we're actually liaising with Lucy and Kiara, whose podcast is amazing. I think I mentioned it before, but we're hoping
You're kind of in love with this podcast, Koby.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot.
I am too.
So if you haven't hammered it home already, please do go and check that out. But I think we're hoping to do an interview with like Lucy and I are hoping to do an interview with them, and we're hoping to just talk through the Oxbridge resource a lot more and also answer your questions. So definitely leave us some questions in the blog and we'll definitely get back to you. So.
Yeah.
And we also had this week Sohan, we interviewed, and now we are adding his personal experiences of Oxford into the posts. So it's mixing in like what you can find online to what his experience was, because we haven't been there yet, but we know all about it from the outside. But you also get an insider's point of view.
So you've tapped into the scholar network, like so.
Yeah.
Amazing to give their experiences of. Actually, Soam's a good guy to speak to because he's obviously finished. He's just finished and he's just graduated, and he's done incredibly well with his academic jobs, and he's coming back as a vice president for the central committee as well. So he's done really well. Great mentor. So that's a brilliant idea actually to incorporate him. How different is it then from your experiences and producing the resources as well that you found? How different is it to apply to Oxbridge compared to applying to other medical schools?
In a lot of ways it's quite similar, but in the ways that it's different is probably the big focus for Oxford in GCSEs and the BMAT to get to interview, and far less people get to that stage. And then at the interview stage, I would say it's quite different than the other medical schools interviews I had, which we further explain on our resource. But I think because of the way that the course is like largely academic, especially the first 3 years, then like what they want to see at interview is not only that you can be a good doctor, but you can also be a good scientist. So that's the main difference, I would say.
Okay.
Now, I think a lot of people have asked me that question. So why did you choose Oxbridge over other medical students? And we've definitely covered that in our Oxbridge resource. So definitely go and check that out. But I think, the main difference, as Laura mentioned, is how the Oxbridge course is a lot more scientific, and they do spend a lot more time on the research and the academic side of things. They don't only want to make you a doctor who can communicate well, but they also want you to be someone who really understands the foundations of the science behind medicine. So I think that's definitely a big part of what they're looking for at interviews. They want to see your passion for the sciences and want to see how you've researched beyond the spec and how you not only are going through the medical process as a tick box, but you're actually really passionate about it and really want to become a great doctor in the end of the day. I think also something that really appealed to me about the Oxbridge process, I'm not really sure appeal is the right word because it's quite intimidating as well, but is the supervision and tutorial style system where you have one-to-one or to like small group sessions with a leading world expert in a field. And I just feel that's amazing. Being able to speak to such a person who's on top of such current research would be so amazing. You can learn so much, and these people have spent a long time kind of getting to the stage where they are. So being able to learn from them would be a great experience, and I'm definitely looking forward to that for sure.
So the other question that we had on the Oxbridge chat is, about the Oxford Unique Summer Schools. There's quite a bit of anxiety at the moment, isn't there, on the chat, because obviously some students have got in and some students haven't. Do you have any sort of advice that you can give on this subject?
Because I applied to it last year, and there's two versions of it. One is you go on the actual summer school, and the other one is you do an online course that they also supports you with other students and like students from the university, and you do assignments and things like that. I can say that when I applied, it was more competitive to get into Unique Summer School than it is to get into Oxford Medical School. Therefore, you can see that if you don't get a place at the summer school, it doesn't mean that you haven't got a chance at applying to Oxford, because it also takes into account more widening access criteria and other things which don't apply in the same way in your application to Oxford. So I would try and reassure students saying that you don't need to worry if you don't get onto that summer school, because you still have a chance.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I actually didn't have a clue about some like online summer schools offered by Oxford and the Sutton Trust. So you guys are already more prepared in that sense. But I think I really don't. Obviously, it's a great experience and you can learn a lot from it if you have received an offer to go, or
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but if you've been given an invite to go there. But if you don't, please don't feel disheartened in any way. There's so many different things you can do to strengthen your application process, and we hope that we've kind of guided you through that in our Oxbridge resource. But also, actually, kind of leading on to Medic Mentor Summer School, if you've signed up to be part of that, that is such a great experience. I can't big it up enough. I mean, I learned so much from it. I completed my personal statement within 2 days. I received like hordes of BMAT, UCAT advice, and interview prep. Mock interviews were amazing. And also I was able to connect with various different medical students who are not applying medical students who are kind of in the same boat as me. And I feel as if I made great friends who I'm still in contact today. And we're just helping each other out. I think a big thing that I've seen in the National Healthcare Weekends, which I couldn't reiterate enough, is how this application process, often you're kind of taught to kind of treat it as a competitive process. You see the stats and go, oh, there's a 1 in 8 chance I need to beat 7 other people. Well, that's really not the case. I think if you follow the advice and you collaborate with your other aspiring medical students, you can definitely go a long way. And if you help each other out, and as part of this virtual medical society, I think you all definitely have the capabilities of getting an offer if you just work together and share your experiences, and that'll go a long way.
So if you've done something like that, Laura, why did you then decide to come to the Medic Mentor Summer School as well?
I think because they filled in different aspects of what the application process was. And also I, like from the beginning, the unique like online course was really helpful in the aspect of like developing why I wanted to do medicine and starting to prepare my personal statement. But what I got at the summer school, Medic Mentor Summer School, was a different aspect, was more on in depth of the entrance exams and face-to-face interview practice. And the personal statement support was a lot more in the end, because one was writing a few words and maybe getting some feedback, and then in the summer school I got immediate feedback every time I finished it. Then I could ask directly medical students and doctors to any questions or have a look at it. So I think if you do both, they're both complement each other. But it's not because I did unique, I wouldn't do the Medic Mentor Summer School, because that's something that for me was a game changer, I think, because it condensed everything into 1 week in the summer, which meant I could spend more time doing other things to support my application.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's working smart, I think. And the fact that you had the opportunity to do both must have been really, really helpful.
Definitely.
Well, we did actually have quite a lot of questions about, personal statements this week as well. Any amazing tips from you guys on just how to tackle the personal statement, having done it so well?
I think a big tip is writing down all of your experiences and making different categories, and then seeing which ones are the ones most worth mentioning, because you would have done loads of things that you probably can't fit all of them in. So you want to be able to describe and like give a reasonable explanation rather than just listing everything you've done.
Yeah. And I think I was just going to build on that really, and I think a way of getting the most out of your experiences is definitely reflecting upon them as soon as so for example, as soon as I went to a work experience, when I came back home, I reflected upon the day and I was like, okay, what have I learned? Because you may think that you've got a superhuman memory, but trust me, you do forget after. Like I kind of forgot to do it for the first few ones, and I was like, oh, there's such great experiences. But just because I hadn't reflected immediately, and now I've forgotten about them, so I can't really just bluff my way through because it is the personal statement in the end of the day. But I think not only your work experience and volunteering experiences, but actually just reflecting upon your extracurricular activities, your discussion with doctors, and even if you're helping to campaign as part of the hardship fund now, just reflecting upon what you've done and submitting your reflections on a weekly basis to the medic mentor team and getting advice from them is incredibly useful, and it would be a great thing to include in your personal statement because it shows how proactive you've been and how you've taken initiative in such a difficult time where most people are lacking motivation to do things, but you've definitely gone that extra step and are helping these doctors who are going to appreciate it so much. Not even doctors only, healthcare workers who are going to appreciate it so much. So yeah.
Also, another thing I would like to add is that you probably want to add something like more academic related in your personal statement if it's for Oxbridge. And for that, I would say you can probably read a couple of books rather than just like go for one only, and then pick out the one that you found made the most impact on you, and then do a little bit more research on it before you get to like the interview stage, so you can confidently talk about it. Because personally, I did get asked about the stuff I wrote down in my personal statement at different interviews. So you want to be confident that everything you say comes directly from you. You're not just putting it there because it sounds good, but because actually it means something to you.
Yeah.
And then also actually reflecting upon my own various experiences, whether that be through extracurriculars, work experience, volunteering, and even just kind of the past year having shown like resilience throughout. I think that has really helped me. I think the interviewers definitely liked how I was able to reflect, and it showed how as a doctor I'd be willing to reflect upon my mistakes and continue to develop and improve. So I think reflection, as Laura mentioned initially, is such a key point, and you should continue to do so throughout. So.
I'm so glad you mentioned reflection as well. You've actually mentioned it twice in this conversation, one with personal statements and one when you go to your interviews. And that was a question, I think it was Marcus on the group chat actually posted. He was like, can you please talk about why reflection is important and when it actually comes up in the application? And I'd say it's probably in those two areas most of all, but it is so important to reflect. And obviously we recommend like the Gibbs reflective cycle because that is what doctors use. Yeah, absolutely. And students on the medical awards program, as you said, Koby, they are definitely going to know the value of reflection because obviously they have to submit reflections to get through their awards, and they get feedback on that as well. It's not an easy thing to do though, is it?
No, I mean at the start you feel like you may know how to reflect, but trust me, you just get it completely wrong. And then but actually hearing advice from these medical students who have gone through the process, and I've messaged Marcus about how I've gone about reflecting. Obviously, I'm no expert currently, but I feel that I've definitely improved my level of reflections. And as Laura mentioned earlier, if you want to improve at anything, you really just need to practice. And by submitting these weekly, monthly reflections, however often you want to do them, you'll be able to hear advice back from the medic mentor team, and they'll definitely guide you through how to reflect, because in the end of the day, reflection is not only going to stop at your medical school interviews. It's really going to, I think a big part of being a doctor is having that lifelong learning and continuing your professional development and so on. So actually you have to continue reflecting throughout your career. So starting that right from this moment and just starting early and getting that experience will really help in the future. So definitely make the most of this time and just practice as much as possible. That's, my advice.
Definitely.
I've got another question, guys, because it only occurred to me when you said, Koby, when you said that you finished your personal statement in 2 days, that's kind of unbelievable. What on earth is going on there? Did the mentors write it for you? Like, people are going to be thinking, how on earth did you manage to do that? Because normally it takes about a month to finish writing
it. It sounds very dodgy. And I mean, if someone just said, okay, I finished my personal statement in 2 days, I would say, okay, you can't have done that. But I think the way the summer school is structured is amazing in the sense that they kind of set out a plan right at the start of what you're kind of looking to get out of it by the end of the summer school. And they kind of prioritize personal statement as the big thing because they know that is probably the most difficult, the thing that most students are most nervous about. So it's quite intensive, the 2 days, I'm not going to lie. You do spend a lot of time. And for me as well, I was struggling to actually get things down on paper. I was a bit of a perfectionist, as I'm sure some of you guys are as well. But it is basically just feeling that whatever I wrote, I could definitely improve on it. And you may feel like that, but I think the thing that was amazing about the mentors available, and especially Amar, who was my group's mentor, is that he just motivated me and kind of guided me through as to how to write it, and just kind of just told me and was by my side to just put things down on paper. And then once it was actually there, I was like, okay, great, I'm making progress. And having that support throughout, and not only your group mentor, but also I think there are 5 or 6 students who have just been through the process who are there to guide you. So it was an amazing experience. And I think the support I received was a big part of why I was able to complete it so quickly.
But let's be clear, right? You did write it.
I did write it. I did write it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did the work, and then we had some advice, but in the end, it was yourself working 2 days for your personal statement, which normally you wouldn't do if you were at home.
Yeah, no, and imagine how rewarding that must be as well. Just seeing kind of the fruits of your labor, and just seeing within 2 days you've created something that most people take months to do and still are stressing about. So it's amazing the support you get, and it is your work in the end of the day. Great feeling.
And then that also means that having done that, like, you can focus on the other important things. Like, you can spend the summer actually doing your UCAT and BMAT preparation, which is 100%. Also really important.
Yeah, it is,
yeah. So final question then, do you think you could have written the standard of personal statement that you ended up with if you hadn't come to the summer school?
No. There were so many key medical terms I was also using to show I had just learned from the medical students, and that was a great way in showing I wasn't just kind of throwing them here and there, because I mean, whatever that you put on your personal statement is kind of fair game at interview.
And also obtaining the more medical insight into from what our experiences, discussing them with the mentors as well, and seeing what was the take-home message out of those. Just really nail it down and streamlining a personal statement so it can fit in as much as you can, but also being clear. I feel like I would probably spend 2 months doing the same thing, which I did in a couple of days. So I definitely think summer school had a really big impact on my personal statement.
You're going to be moderating the comments, and we're going to have a little discussion about applying to Oxbridge, and students can post you questions that they have about the experience, and I assume you'll be happy to answer them.
No, definitely. We look forward to being bombarded with questions.